All good? 4 minutes past 3. I'd like to start the meeting and welcome everyone to the meeting and everyone that's on live stream. It's the meeting of the Cycling and Walking Subcommittee meeting of 16 November 2023. The apologies. We have an apology from Tim Brownlee from Manawa Energy, John Wood, Jane Neal, apology for lateness. The declarations of interest have been circulated via Microsoft Teams and email.
Excuse me, Chair, can we have a mover and a second for that?
Oh, sorry.
If we do that, Chair,
Oh, the mayor for lateness. Good. Yeah, could we have a mover and a seconder for the apologies, please? Jack? Thank you. And a seconder, Donna. Thank you, Donna. The declarations of interest have been circulated through Microsoft Teams and email. Sorry, I didn't. Oh, they've not in Teams. You're not available for that.
That's just the internal Teams channel.
Okay.
you're talking about the conflict of interest.
Certainly strike the last meeting.
But Chair, I suggest that there's any interest from elected members or from members.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any conflict of interest additional? None?
Susie was keeping an eye on keeping that up to date, so just worth just checking in that that's been done. I'm not sure if it was that she's always asking for people to contribute to it, but I'm not sure if that's complete. It's a minor issue, but
Sure. We noted. Urgent items not on the agenda. Item 4, minutes of the last meeting, and that was circulated through Microsoft Teams. That was the minutes of 17 August 2023. Would someone like to move and second the minutes of the Cycling and Walking Subcommittee meeting held 17 August 2023 be confirmed? You would have? Inga, thank you. And the seconder? I'll second it. Carried. I'd like to prove that my digital signature be added to the confirmed Cycling and Walking Committee meeting minutes of 17 August 2023. Item 5 is the action list from Simon Bastian.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members. I will take the lead on the action list, considering Scott Baxendale is currently on leave. There are a couple of items regarding safety elements of the state highway. We have had correspondence, or have been trying to have correspondence with Dr. Kotei about a resolution for those. But no, nothing's pending at the moment. We will have to check this up at the date. Pine Tree Road connection. I understand that Scott Baxendale was going to have a further discussion with himself. And go to the next steps for that. And track realignment behind the race course, I understand that some work has been completed on that. Bill, can you confirm that? So the funding application was put forward, but unfortunately declined. So we're going to look at another funding element. It was raised yesterday at a budget meeting with the internal review with staff. And have a discussion with council next steps in terms of the LGP process regarding funding. We'll take this opportunity to ask Bill Burnett, our operations manager, to give an update on other projects that have been completed. It's not on the agenda item. Opportunity to talk through the project there on the last 7 minutes.
Yes, the last meeting we had that, had quite a successful project schedule. We've got the American roads that have moved design, after that, yes. Safety improvements. The dairy tram, culvert and flats, we haven't yet been completed, so that's going to open the discussion. Design and some pricing estimates on the improvements. That's the part of the and for the rest, Richard was an complete operational. Coach Bridge, we had a preliminary design completed and have estimated on different.
Thank you. Has anyone got any questions for Simon or Earl?
Obviously, a very good quarter. In terms of what we expected of last August. So well done, all team getting those pushed through, and obviously the Wilkes Trail Trust as well for the support around the new platform out at.
Thank you. Would someone like to move and second the report? Owen, thank you, and Donna. Yeah, yes, thanks, Jane. I've noted that. Thank you. Item 6 is a presentation from Mel Anderson, the Chief Executive of Destination Western. Over to you, Mel.
Just very quickly, it's much of a muchness for this time of year. Spring brings rain, and with that we have a lot of they needed cleaned up through the tracks, clearing culverts and drains through the tracks, leaf blowing, and it's also spray season. So there's been a lot of work with vegetation, potholing, installing site rails around the Gibson Key area there. But main and also the guide wire replacement on the bridge at Kamara. And also with new season is a lot of sign replacements and updates. That's about it.
Okay, thanks, thanks, Mel. Any questions for Mel? No questions? I'm sorry.
The spray. There's quite a lot of paper you can spray as well as the doors. So sometimes that fight, sometimes not quite fine. So I've got to put down. Yeah, that can be promoted well.
I'll have a talk to the contractors to do the main spray program there, Jane. The future works.
It's very hard to, obviously young saplings or young natives coming through. Sometimes we don't want them growing in the location site department as well. Be hard for a contractor to designate just what spraying on course, depending on how big it is.
Yeah, sometimes, there's an option of having just painting the ducts with their quite big courses. They're quite big courses. It's flat. It's flat. And yeah, totally right.
Good points. Thank you. Any further questions for Mel? Thanks, Mel. Would someone like to move and second that we receive the presentation from Mel Anderson? Jack, thank you, Jack. And Donna for second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 7, Jackie Gurdon from the Trail Manager. All over to you, Jackie, for your report. You might be on mute, Jackie.
There's going to be a little bit of trouble there. Using sorry about that.
That's
And I'll
okay.
just, reduce my screen again. Right, so a lot of projects that we've been involved in recently are nearing completion. Of our accessible ride guide, hoping to have that finished by mid-December. It will be something digital that we will keep updating. Website, got the updated website almost ready to go. Well advanced with the new guidebook. Interp panel down at Ward Road set to go. Just done a draft of our strategic plan for the trust. One of the things that we've added to it is all the projects that the trust is working on and the council's long-term plan projects, because that will give a full picture of everything that's going on around the trail. We're coming up to 10 years, and in fact, that's just a few days away. We're looking at haven't put it out there yet at the moment, still just checking the viability, but looking at 16th of December, potentially bringing people together to celebrate the 10 years and perhaps have an opening for the Manipur lookout, even though the lookout is operational at the moment, as I understand. But just something to come together and acknowledge the work we've done and the success of the trail over the last 10 years. So we'll be notifying people of that. Certainly welcome any thoughts anybody has got on that event. It will be fairly basic. The council doesn't have a budget, and we don't really either. A little bit of money that we'll put into that, and working on how we do it, sort of perhaps just a finger food function with that perhaps midday. So that's the planning there. And certainly have, I know Bernard Maweka is keen to come over, so we may have some accessible adaptive bike and chair riders with that as well, but just still in the planning stage. There's nothing gone out to anybody yet. Working and absolutely thrilled, Greater District Council there's been some long-term, one particular long-term problem with the track there, where there's been some silence with one of the culverts, and they have fixed all that up and done a really good job. And there's other work that we've signalled to them as well too. The rest of the things I think are sort of business as usual. Attended the Cycle Trail Forum in Wellington. It's one that happens annually with all the trail managers, and just the regular comms that happen. I would also add, just let people know, if you haven't received the comms already, Ride the Wilderness is on this weekend, on Saturday, major event, and John Moore runs that independently of us, and I think he's got about 170 or so in it this year, so I hope that all goes well.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, I haven't got any questions. Jackie, oh yes, I have got one. But first of all, I'd just like to comment on the platform out at Mahinapur. It's a great job, and it provides a really good view of the wetlands and Mahinapur Creek, and part of the main divide there, like Mount Darwin and Beaumont. Yeah, it's a really great asset for the cycle trail. Great enhancement. My question is there going to be any an interpretation there?
Yeah. The first thing I'd like to do is reflect your compliments to Earl and his team, because he's really led the construction of that. We've been in the background there, but thanks Earl, tremendous job being done there by you and WSP for design. We've got that. Yes, the interpretation I have already got drafted. I have had input from Paul Madgwick already from every component of that. I have written up based on earlier documentation, information that the Department of Conservation gave me several years ago. In fact, it might have been yourself. And so that is set to go. I have had been working on it even this morning, looking at one of the panels possibly being in pictorial form to do with the plants and animals that are down there. So there'll be the history of it from formation, the Maori history of the area in summary form, and something on the vegetation and plant life. So that's the planning at the moment. I'm hoping that we can get one of those panels up before the 16th. The one with the artwork in it is probably going to be go up in January or February. It requires a little bit more work to construct that artwork.
Thanks, Jackie. Any further questions for Jackie?
I suppose just through Jackie and obviously myself, we've raised it in the last meeting as well, but we've reinforced that Jackie's conference she went to. The funding for cycleways was under significant stress, considering what's happened on the east coast of the North Island. All funding's been reallocated, and this is absolutely critical to that reinstigating those projects or those trails. But there is funding for safety elements, etc., that we still chase. But we won't be as lucky as we have been in the past, as my gut feel, in terms of support for future significant projects. And saying that out of the safety audit that has been completed, Indian Cycle and Trails are meant to be coming back to council and highlighting or working with us on those priority projects that they will help. So we're waiting for that meeting to occur. There was a collective group, primarily the cycle trail, ourselves, to make sure that we do target those significant safety elements as a priority. And that will be reflected in the proposed long-term plan that will be coming to council consideration. But what is not linked to our safety hazard or a significant improvement will be deferred, I'm afraid, until the funding becomes available.
Anything from anyone else? Thank you. So, someone like to move that we receive the report from Jackie Gurdon. Owen, and a seconder, Jane. Thanks, Jane. Next item is from Jack O'Connor from the Grey District Council. Over to you, Jack. Thank you.
John, probably just the really top one with the long-term plans, which we're working through and preliminary stages. We started good headway, and the recreational space is probably one of the key ones that we're looking at. That includes our trails and footpaths and roads, because we have the road speed changes at the moment. Moana is actually the one in the process of changing to 30 Let's come back from community feedback. Let's go and enhance the walking and something. Festive season with us. Let's come back from direct feedback from the communities. While there's been some big recommendations, we're on. This is not good. Pretty much like as well, sport category, really looking for play, recreation, sports strategy, great district. It's for, again, future decision making, in the district. Quite a diverse working group together around us, so outside of our traditional partners. And this is something that coming forward we may bring us through to these classes. Again, we're just looking at the whole, every aspect of play and recreation and sport. Traditionally, we've just looked at sport. When we talk around the other organisations, it's a bit direction. And again, like as well. Again, Jackie mentioned the Ride for the Wilderness coming up this weekend. It's good to see the trail still being used for other events. The carriers use the to inform them. Value really comes through the fact living life. And also it means creating these opportunities. All the work that goes along to the wilderness trail, it's just invaluable to the community side of people using it. None of them have a chance, but if you do get a chance to go to Blackpool, I'd like to go over to Blackpool School. Design the concept of the kids. They asked kids what they wanted. They cleared a course that belongs to Ministry of Education at school. Again, really came together and a lot of schools are actually starting one box, 3 bucks at school. A lot of kids travel by buses. So we utilise them. While we've got these spaces, quite often we utilise them up. When we look at playing field, I think we're proud they'll be 24 hours to use them. So, it was officially opened a couple of weeks ago. And then we had the cycling walking. Anything we can do to actually get that long term thinking. The other things that we still have, we are approached council using Snapseeds. That seems installed. Yeah. Still encouraging people to use that. We see a lot of stuff coming up on social media, which is why councils don't have something similar on social media and using that as an official approach. Encouraging anybody to use Snapseeds. If you're on the trail, it's not something. Please say that as Jackie mentioned, the councils deal with a couple of the major issues that we discussed. Anything else, let us know through that.
Jack, just on the Blackpool track, what's the service there?
A combination of like pressure dust and wooden.
Yeah. Is it or not?
But I've used the native
Yeah,
where the clear trees are actually create features. It's quite an ecological sort of,
excellent.
as well as just the pure blocking.
Save on carbon footprint to driving there, is it, when go through it? We can actually visually look at it.
No, but I don't see it through some. But that's.
Hmm.
So it was on the front of the messenger, that story about.
Oh, okay. Very good to see it actually, someone, you know. They do.
Yeah.
There was a huge campaign by.
Through the chair, I've got some photos of it, that I can share if you want to, so.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further questions for Jack?
Just following on from that concept, it would be nice to have like a drop out zone off the trail to go back in and off the trail as well, you know, like a little circuit. I think in Western Island here, even in the States 3, somewhere close to town. Quite handy.
Wow, good to go up and visit that one. Get some ideas. Yeah,
Just, through the chair, some of the things that we've been, looking at, particularly with the Greymouth section, is having something to jump kids, riders enjoy jumping off the side of the trail. We haven't formalised that yet, and there have been informal jumps made there, including last Sunday. I was chatting to some young children that had made a jump there, really keen to see something happen, and obviously had some discussions at the start of the week with the private schools as well too. So, yeah, I think there's opportunities there for us that will bring younger local riders in around the trail.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Someone like to move and second that we accept the report from Jack O'Connell's Road District Council. Inga and Donna. Thank you. The next item is the Department of Conservation. Thanks, Owen.
Starting off Wilderness Trail, I guess, and Mananui Tramline section. We completed the first bit of resurfacing was done and a bit of remediation needed there as well. The next phase was basically scoping out how much resurfacing to do further into the trail at that point. That'll be a mixture of, I guess, continuous resurfacing and just spot trees and areas that there there. In parallel, that's been installed quite a few new bridges and some new culverts. And that piece of work, basically what we're deciding between bridge and culvert, depending on whether there's historic fabric existing at any given point. And sometimes they don't know when they start digging. That's if there's historic fabric and they put a bridge over the top, you can't dig it out. Culvert is easier to maintain. But what that means is our budget's not fluid, so that's why we have to finish all the surfacing to need construction done, and that tell us the work that's budget. What we're doing again is resurface. So hopefully we can scope it out in the very near future. That looks like. Yeah, just congratulate the trust, I guess, on the work at the lookout there, and our building team have been past and had a look, and quite complimentary and finished there. Also, with the events that have been mentioned, so rather wilderness and the Oxford Marathon, is for the parks where those events go to public conservation land. They both have concessions, obviously. We'll make that. At the hockey took a forge, I think since the last meeting, we closed access or the tracks to access the original bridge and closed the bridge itself. With staff out there talking to the public, put all new signage and different tracks. It's been overwhelmingly positive feedback, really, and as we speculated, if you haven't been there previously, you don't know what to expect, and we're very happy with what we get. So the interim solution until the new bridge gets built. There has been a little bit of non-compliance observed crossing the old bridge, they're never going to stop there. It's abundantly clear that it's closed. Last week we had the MOU signed between ourselves and council, just agreeing to approach constructing the new bridge and the contribution time from the department for the engineering project management work. Surveys underway for the new bridge, so I can speak about it yesterday. A bit more ground to be done, and now about get on with the design. Things been doing in the backcountry, there's been a bit of a focus on the Home Valley, which is now the Royal Trail goes. Up and making some bridges up there as well. In the same vicinity, we've done work around public access, around the description and the common code. Going on that area of stop, which is and so we can smooth that out and make sure public access is maintained. Triple cover. Yeah, around the road, we can't. They will see out there previously. And now numbers increasing. Keeping those front country and campsites tidy. We've already had a couple of days of the board with the car park being full, so every indication is that the numbers are strong. Our building team, which works at a regional scale up and down the coast, they're currently building a new shelter at the camp of Lake Ardinga. They're the real biggest program to get Jack reopened. Work on new bridge seal contractors, Sis Clark, touch on the top row, track, work up there. Memorial track, getting that ready. That's my update.
Really good. Just really great to hear about the early progress on the Hoki Gorge bridge. Good news. Inga, you got something there?
Just wondering about parking up there, if it's already got, we had talked some time ago about extending the line area identified parking.
At the west side? It was some time ago. There's I think there was there were plans for it, but that's further adjacent to the car park that's already there now.
Yeah, I mean that was historically worked down around options. Nothing in play at the moment. Implement any of those. Business movement, business numbers is a bit of an uncertainty in some ways, seeing how that plays out. But currently, people are taking further down the road and that's been historically generating.
Quite a few car parks out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, just really clear. I'm under the impression there's one more round of tourism infrastructure funding coming up. I haven't got that locked down, but today, if there's a significant need in a council relationship like we are with the Gorge, there's an aspiration to increase the parking size. It could be considered as long as government party with some contribution. That's the people that could be another docket project. Trying to source some funding.
It's not timing like that, obviously we demonstrate.
I think the it's on conservation estate too. Yeah.
So it'll be a process. I don't think the timing will be against us, but just highlighting there is.
Thank you.
It makes them nervous about some of the access, like leverage out of our to get then we probably go and shoot and stop. If people have funds to rethink their options.
Yeah. Just to highlight through the chair, that also plays out with cycle trails as well. If we're going through private property, they have a right to restrict unless there's a formal easement in place. So we just got to make sure that, you know, what we are good custodians of the trail, and work with private landowners and obviously the department going forward. We have a very strong relationship with the department already, but there are some private landowners that can make it difficult if they propose to.
There is some scenario and has been approached in the past, and that access triggers that sort of not the gate, but the road itself is a mixture of public and private land. Not straight to.
So they think that the people that are using private trails are doing function, or
No, they don't, but it's just a matter of being abundantly clear whether or not.
Thanks, Alan. Any further questions? We've got someone like to move and second that we receive the report from Owen Kilgore from the Department of Conservation. Jane and Inga, thank you. Our next item is from Inga Perkins from the Outdoor Access Commission. Thank you.
Just wanted to quickly just go through the points that I've put in the report. So encouraging to have that feedback at the recent stakeholder meeting that the Roseville area can be seen as a hub and really acknowledging all those connections. People on that direction of travel and really encouraging things. And the workshop, thank you, Jack, and thank you to your colleagues for facilitating that. It's great to have that opportunity and maybe for finding your way forward to give us some options for discussion and think about how we can move forward in some of those areas of interest and areas of concern and opportunities. So I'm just wondering how we build on that, what we do next, how do we make the most of that workshop we do with those notes that we've been provided with, and how do we, what next steps do we take, how do we move ourselves forward?
Would you like me to answer that too?
Thank you. Yeah.
Obviously, it's quite a substantial workshop and cover a lot of subject matters. The most critical one for us is around managing facility access, particularly around the CBD, and that was the main focus. So we have put funding into our regional land transport plan to proceed with the work we actually originally proposed as part of bedrock planning. And that is in with what we for approved the next 3 years with the budget. So that's quite a considerable investment. That's over $90,000. So that to me is the first step of pushing through down the track. Obviously, the long-term plan submissions or processes underway at the moment, and capital components can be discussed with council in the new year. So submissions that come from public consultation will also be heard through that process. That will be locked down by the end of June for adoption. That locks us in for the next 3 to 10 years in terms of funding. But conceptually, we acknowledge where we want to go. The focus is obviously getting those core infrastructure works done as a priority. That's where most of the funding now. Safe crossings, in terms of ensuring people can traverse across roads in a safe manner, extension of footpaths, and increased disability access on footpaths, particularly around the CBD. I can share the council the federal funding proposal for the committee. I can send that out as part of that. Those aspects.
And how How or is there a way for this subcommittee
It'll be through remote council meetings, so all organisations can make submissions, of course, as independents anyway.
But this group itself really doesn't have a role to contribute, can it?
I think we can take components that came out of the workshop to see if there's anything in there that warrants us pushing forward as a component of the LTP. But we just got to be reminded that affordability is the priority, and we've got a backlog of significant projects we still have to address. So just highlighting once again, small council, small ratepayer base, and it's those priority projects.
At the workshop, we had a really good discussion about accessibility for pedestrians, for cyclists, for other users of our community streets and pavements, and how we just giving everybody that safe and that ease of access when you are on the path. So I'm just hoping that those kind of conversations and through that workshop discussions, they will keep being in everyone's mind as that LTP goes forward and those projects are coming to the conversations anyway.
Definitely, but once again, the critical thing is to make sure that the core stuff is put forward for funding, and that's what we have done to start with. That can be built on future annual plans as well. Journey has started.
And if this group or if I personally or Jack or others can help with that process, then please let me know, let us know. Really pushing those things and okay. And for that my next point with some walking and cycling plans, that seems to be a bit on hold while they decide that they do the next minister will and in the meantime, they've still got a huge amount going on with their all those kind of things. They've got this low risk project budget funding, which supports more authority projects 50-50. So I don't know whether that would help with things like country road and also spot and so those kind of things, but maybe that fits in the other projects as well.
So that funding is available all the time through council as part of a So that's determined from the transportation department in terms of how they allocate that fund. On their own. Which Scott obviously oversees it.
Country roads, I'll talk to Scott about that. I was really keen for that not to be pushed back all the time. There's some great potential there linking into the other domestic wilderness trails and other routes and trails and tracks around our community and into school, community benefits, extending the value of the cycle trail. Just want to make sure that we get dropped off.
Any flood change?
Sorry, good catch.
Road traffic update.
I can give an update. So there's an issue in terms of access coming through on unformed legal road. So, unfortunately, Lynn's provided some advice that contradicts the advice that we received previously. So we're going back to Lynn's to write to them because it actually is quite significant, their advice, because there's a number of unformed legal roads that don't comply to 20 links. 100 links, sorry. And it would open up a can of worms for every unformed legal road that's wider than 20 metres. So we want them to come back and justify their position for written to them formally. So it will be a national issue, not this. Put it in the
Add a little bit. I've tried to dig into this as well to try and support you to try and the situation away from wasting your time. But the road is on our maps, on all the council maps, on the links, it's shown as a very wide space, potentially 100 metres wide, but we shouldn't. We're inside the video is that we should be referring to those terms, but the most recent survey in that would say more than 100 metres, 20.12 metres, and variable. So the fact that it's, we go with the boundary between the private land and the really big around. So it's fixed, so we can tell we're working through that.
That's right.
Gate is in the unfamiliar road.
Our position though is if Lynn's have made some comments, they need to survey it themselves to make sure it's true alignment. So that we're not gonna, council's not gonna pay for a significant survey. Lynn's have to validate that information they've given us, and which councils in New Zealand is correct. But that's all we've gone on in the past.
Absolutely. And that's what I was hearing also was that if the survey is required to confirm anything in the land investment, and we need to invest in that because it's very got the boundary problem. That's there, that's all.
So it's a legal position that we need to clarify.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get that sorted out soon.
Thank you. Would someone like to move and second that we receive the report from Inga Perkins? Donna and Jack. That's Don Bed. Jack O'Connell. Our next item is from the Westland Mountain Bike Club, a verbal update. Is that you, John? Or Liam Anderson is not here. Are you doing it on his behalf, John?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay then.
But since the meeting's been running, I believe that Liam has not been able to make it today and sends his apologies. I guess I could give an update if the chair would like to receive one.
Yeah, good as gold, John. Thank you.
So, Mountain Club continues to move toward construction of a finished design and construction of a easy climbing trail into the Blue Spur Forest from the end of Cement Lead Road. So we've been undertaking random conversations, formal approach to nighttime forestry for the access and provide route information. We have received a grant from an outside funding source to turn just under 5,000. And we've had a conversation with a local professional trail builder who used to work for the Department of Conservation and currently does work for the upright. So we're joining all the dots to deliver a good outcome and expect to maybe turn the first soil in sort of 3 or 4 weeks' time. Aside from that, trail members continue to do trail maintenance in the forest and in other variable places that we all have our little backyard projects of keeping bits of trail clear and drains clear around where we live.
Thanks.
I think that's about it.
Thanks, John. Has anyone got any questions for John? Inga?
I think Liam or one of the team mentioned the possible access via Ridge Fox Drive. Is that something that you, is that being?
Sorry, the Ridge Fox Drive needs to meet Lead Road. It's the other, my mind was one street back. Yeah. Yeah, we're good on that. We do need to, as a mountain bike club, obtain a resource consent for that. It's all a little part of the puzzle that one needs to go down. So yeah. One other thing we are looking to do in conjunction with the Subcommittee Cycling Club is put in a combined application for the with the 125th year or 150th celebration of travel transport to Hokitika. People know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember that.
So there is this celebration thing, which I'm not quite clear on, but we are looking to do a combined cycle race for the road club and a mountain bike event. So likely to be a mountain bike race in the Bluesbury Forest, with the intention of that becoming an annual event. I think that's part of the stipulation of the funding.
That's really good. I challenged my neighbour to compete in that.
Yeah, good idea.
All right. Thank you. Any further questions for John? Thanks, John. Would someone like to move and second that we receive the verbal update from John Strange from the Western Mountain Bike Club? Jane and Inga. Thank you very much. Reservation into public excluded. I'd like to move that the cycling and walking subcommittee move into public excluded. The chair advised the meeting will adjourn for 2 minutes to allow the committee to disconnect and Zoom from the open section of the meeting and reconnect via the second Zoom invite of the public excluded section of the meeting. Oh, can we have a second on that? Good on you. Thanks, Donna.